The orange seller secret. People often say every face in Lagos carries a story. Some stories are loud enough for the whole world to hear, while others remain hidden behind ordinary smiles. Every evening after work, Maya followed the same road home, through the busy market. She knew every corner, every food seller, every danfo driver shouting for passengers. Yet, there was one person she had never truly noticed. Hidden between the noise and movement sat an elderly woman behind a small table of oranges. She never shouted for customers like everyone else. She simply waited quietly with a gentle smile. Maya didn't know it yet. But before this week ended, that quiet old woman would completely change the course of her life. Something felt different that evening. Instead of walking straight home, Maya slowed down as she reached the old woman's stall. The woman wasn't trying to attract customers. She simply cleaned each orange with a small piece of cloth before placing it carefully into the basket. There was patience in every movement. There was dignity in the way she worked. Even though business was slow, she smiled warmly at every passerby. Maya couldn't explain why, but for the first time she felt drawn to stop. Sometimes our greatest journeys begin with the smallest decisions, and neither of them realized that this ordinary conversation would become the beginning of an extraordinary friendship. Maya reached into her pocket and counted the little money she had left after work. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy a few oranges. As the elderly woman handed her the bag, their eyes met for only a second. In that brief moment, Maya saw something she had never expected. Behind the old woman's gentle smile was a sadness so deep that words could never describe it. It was the kind of sadness carried by someone who had cried many nights in silence, but still chose kindness every morning. Maya thanked her politely and continued walking, but the woman's face refused to leave her thoughts. As Maya walked away, she kept looking back. There was something unusual about that old woman. It wasn't her age. It wasn't the oranges. It was the peaceful way she carried a burden nobody else could see. Maya tried convincing herself. She was imagining things, but deep inside she knew her heart had noticed something important. Some people enter our lives with loud voices and unforgettable entrances. Others appear quietly, asking for nothing, yet somehow changing everything. The next evening, Maya found herself walking the same road again. This time, she carried something extra, a loaf of bread and a bottle of water. She couldn't explain why, but she felt the old woman might need them more than she did. As she handed them over, the elderly woman's hands trembled. Tears slowly filled her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away before anyone could notice. Then she whispered 4 simple words that would echo in Maya's heart forever. "May God remember you." Maya smiled politely, never imagining that those words were about to unlock a secret hidden for more than 30 years. Instead of leaving immediately, Maya decided to sit with the elderly woman for a few minutes. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't thinking about work, bills, or the long journey home. She simply wanted to understand the woman sitting quietly beside her. Around them, the noisy market slowly became quieter as traders packed their stalls. Yet the old woman remained calm, carefully arranging the few oranges she hadn't sold. Maya finally asked the question that had been on her mind for days. "Mama, why do you still come here every single day?" The old woman paused for a long moment. Her smile slowly faded. and for the first time, sadness filled her eyes. Without saying a word, the elderly woman reached into her old purse and carefully pulled out a faded photograph. She held it gently, almost as if she were afraid it might disappear. Maya leaned closer. The picture showed a smiling young boy standing beside a basket of oranges. He couldn't have been older than 12, although the edges of the photograph had faded with time. One thing remained clear: the happiness on his face. The old woman smiled softly through tears before whispering, "That is my son. The reason I still come here every day. More than 30 years ago, my son left home one morning to help me sell oranges in this very market. He promised he would return before sunset. But that evening came, and he never returned. We searched every hospital, every police station, every nearby town. We printed posters, asked strangers, prayed in churches, and cried ourselves to sleep for years. But no one ever found him. Since that day, I have returned to this same spot every morning, with my basket of oranges, hoping that one day, my son will remember this place and come looking for more." Maya could barely speak. She had expected to hear about poverty, loneliness, or old age. Instead, she had discovered a mother's endless hope. Her search led her to an old police station, where forgotten records had gathered dust for decades. Just when Maya began losing hope, an elderly officer agreed to help. He quietly searched through old cabinets, filled with yellowing documents, slowly removing one worn-out file from the shelf. Looking at Maya, he whispered, "I remember this case." Those 4 words sent chills through her entire body. The file revealed details that no one had shared with the elderly woman. On the day her son disappeared, witnesses had reported seeing a young boy boarding a commercial bus by mistake during the evening rush. Reading each page, Maya realized something heartbreaking. The little boy had never chosen to leave his mother. Fate had simply carried him somewhere no one expected. Day after day, Maya refused to give up. Every spare hour after work became another opportunity to search. She visited libraries, read newspaper archives, searched old community records, and spoke to elderly residents who had lived in Lagos for decades. Most conversations led nowhere, but each failed attempt only strengthened her determination. She believed one missing piece still existed. Sometimes, hope isn't found by luck. Sometimes, it's discovered by those who refuse to stop searching. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the Lagos skyline, Maya finally decided to go home. She had spent weeks chasing answers with very little success. Just as she stepped outside the library gate, her phone rang. The number on the screen was completely unfamiliar. For a brief moment, she considered ignoring it. Instead, she answered. The voice on the other end said something that made her stop walking immediately. "I think I know the boy in that photograph." In that single moment, everything changed.